forgot.
I didn't think about it
I
either.
couldn't get it up
Okay,
back up straight.
Say again? No, usually everybody, they just say last names.
We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Dan Smock. Brad Davis.
Here.
Kate Davis. Tim Emmerich.
Here.
Randy Hagenbach.
Here.
Darren Phillips.
Here.
Dan will be here. He's gonna be a couple minutes late. Just let me know that. So, we'll probably go ahead and get started.
When he shows up, just note the time that he gets here.
Pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recognition of guests. We have Mr. Donnie Neal with us tonight, Wyatt Watercotty, Michelle Hagenbaugh, and Chris Hagenbaugh. Thanks for coming, everybody. Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda, which includes, are we live?
Yes, it should be. I think it's going, so.
Yeah.
Yep, all good.
Consent agenda, minutes and claims and accounts. There was one addition to the minutes.
I think it's correction.
Okay, did you send out the corrected minutes? Okay,
Just did,
okay.
right before the meeting.
So there is one small change, and it was, she had in there that Alderman Phillips motioned to adjourn, and he actually was absent at that meeting. It was probably just a typo.
Yes,
State.
yeah, because it was noted in the contract. I wasn't there.
Okay, just as,
No big deal.
yep, a small clerical error. Anna, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
So there's no questions on the minutes. We'll move on to the claims and accounts.
The AEP Energy, $1,058.39. All told for $1,264.58. Hammering, $1,828.03. Applegate Excavating, $4,256. Barry's Repair, $570.43. Casey's General Store, $1,592.05. Lewis Marsh Incorporated, $1,134. PDC Area Disposal, $5,010. PDC Laboratories, $618.85. PH Broughton, $1,209.09. Ron Stewart, $535. William Stewart, $1,000. Sally Turner, Government Consult, $550.
Any questions on those?
I think Paula noted, I talked to her, that part of the area disposal bill is gonna be reimbursed by the township. Is that right? For
Oh, I thought it was, yeah, that might
I think
be.
that's what she said, that's, like, we're paying the bill, and they're gonna reimburse us.
Okay, yes,
A
that
couple of
normally is
times.
the case.
Just in case anybody wondered why that was so high.
Yes, they do pay for the portion of it. Thank you, Darren. Any other questions? Decker Supply was on there. Mr. Watercotty, are you updated on that? Your sign should be going up sometime in the future.
I am told that the signs have arrived and we're waiting on IDOT.
Okay.
So we'll be waiting a while. It passed as prologue.
Right, well, I guess Yeah, I don't know if you saw the chain of emails, but the guy, this is for a sign for an FCCL estate officer. But the guy that's in charge of the signs now was a little bit different than the guy that did it then, so we had to go through a whole other form. The sign was supposed to be approved before it was even made. Anyways, it looks like we're gonna be able to get it up whenever they get it to it, so.
I appreciate
You
it.
were here and I saw that on there, so I thought I'd give you an update, so.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes and the claims and accounts.
All motion.
Motion Davis, Kate Davis,
I'll second.
second Hagenbaugh. Roll call, please.
Brad Davis,
Yes.
Kate Davis,
Yes.
Tim Emmer,
Yes.
Randy Hagenbaugh,
Yes.
Aaron Phillips,
Yes.
Motion passes. Is there any public comments on the agenda items? Public comments, okay. Officer reports, Chief West.
I just had a couple of things. We had our annual drill at the grade school, high school yesterday, so that went really well. All the kids participated very well. That was that. And then, October 10th, we're gonna have a little retirement party for Mr. McCartney, Doug. So, 1 to 4.
It's Sunday, I believe, isn't it?
Yes,
10th,
what's that?
October 10th?
Yes. The thing I'm asking though is, I mean, if we can kind of help with some of the, I've gotten a hold of Nick Solomon. He's gonna get something together for us. I don't have a price yet on that part of it. I did get a price on a cake at $60. So I don't know if you guys are okay with that or.
I'd be okay with paying for,
Okay.
some hors d'oeuvres and some cake, that
Okay.
shouldn't be a problem.
So, I mean, once I find out what Nick's gonna tell me, I can let you know, or, the only thing is, I'm thinking, is our next meeting after the 10th, I believe?
We still have one more in September.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I'm thinking, I'm looking at myself here. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So other than that, I think that's all I have right now. I mean, the stop arm stuff, as far as I'm not getting tuned or anything right now, so that's going well. So,
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Chief West? Public Works, Matt informed me earlier today he wasn't able to make it. He had something, had some childcare issues, so he was not able to make it. That's okay, though. A couple things that he did want to report are, I'm sure everybody saw the trees getting trimmed. If anyone was, that was the bus route. So after we got the bid from him and Matt looked at, some of those trees were pretty high for the trimming, and to get it done, they'd have to rent a higher lift. Their bucket trucking does not go high enough. We've done that before. Due to time constraints and they had other things going on, we went ahead and processed through, I think it was like $6,400. But that's the entire bus route. We usually got to do it about once every 5 years. I have a feeling these trees are going to start catching up on us when it comes to the bills that we see for them, but that's okay. We'll have to deal with it. He also wanted to mention Fall Festival. He thanks everybody for their help, especially putting up the tents. I think it was a great success. Basically, I was up here on Friday and there was a lot of people and it seemed like everyone was enjoying themselves, so anything off the top of your head that we can change for next year, to think about next year? The best time to think about it is right after it happens. Sometimes I feel like it's always an afterthought after a couple months go by. Huge thank you to the Hilltop Club, the Fall Fest Committee, and everyone for putting that together. Those guys spent a lot of time, and the city thanks them very much for their time and their effort. While we're on water and sewer, I believe Jordan has some updates with Illinois American Water in terms of surveys and meetings and stuff that's been going on.
So Shannon and I have been talking on a semi-regular basis of kind of the next things that need to have happened. Illinois American Water's plan here is try to close on the transaction by the end of the year. So what they're gonna do is The ICC has commission meetings at regular intervals, and there's 2 meeting dates in December, December 1 and December 15. So what they're gonna try to do is set our transaction for the December 15th approval with the ICC, and then assuming that happens, set the closing date December 16th. So what we're gonna try to do is kind of have all of our ducks in a row, you know, well in advance of that, but that's kind of the anticipated closing date is December 16th. We've set up a meeting to have a land surveyor come out and meet with Matt Presswood. Eric Larson's gonna be out, but his, you know, second in command, I'm gonna be there, and the survey's gonna be there, and we're gonna go walk through all of the parcels of land that need to be subdivided. And again, for those of you that weren't here when that happened, some of these parcels need to be subdivided because Illinois American Water is gonna obviously take control of those assets, so they're gonna need the property that the assets sit on. So some of those parcels are already gonna be exclusively theirs, but there are some, for example, like the parcel where the police department is located. There's a little corner there that, you know, the garage, I guess, next to the police department needs to be cordoned off. So anyways, we're gonna have a surveyor go through. What I wanted to do is have representatives from both sides there to kind of explain, hey, here's what the city needs to keep to maintain its operations. Here's, you know, then somebody from Illinois American Water there to say, well, we need, you know, XYZ easements or whatnot of access and things. So just trying to get that all set up. We're in communication with Farnsworth Group to make sure that we've got all of the other easements taken care of. Again, pipe runs all over the city. We just want to make sure that when we transfer that, Illinois American Water has those updates. Some of the things that I need from the city before that date, and again, I can talk to Paula about it, is loan payoff letters. So I think the only loan that we've got now is the water tower, right?
There's still the sewer line of credit.
Okay, so we'll just need to know that whichever banks we have those loans through can issue us loan payoff letters so that we have them, you know, on the 16th.
Okay.
So, and the bank should know how that works. But I think, you know, I think we're moving forward on it all appropriately, and again, December 16th is anticipated closing date, so. Does anybody have any questions for me? If you do, and you think of something later on, just let me know.
Do all those easements have to be done and approved before the 15th?
That's the goal.
So when are you doing your walkthrough? Pretty soon?
The walkthrough is next Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the
So you got plenty
walkthrough.
of time, that's
Yeah, we're meeting next Wednesday, the 22nd, 9 AM up here at City Hall, and then we're gonna walk through all the properties thereafter.
Something that I was unsure about is the gazebo. Is that gonna be on American's property or
We'll have
on
the
the
survey.
state's property?
Yeah, we'll have the surveyor do that, to figure out where that is. I think it comes up, it's like 100 feet in one direction and 75 feet in another direction. I don't know if it's north-south long ways or east-west long ways.
The only reason I bring it up is some of the residents kind of take care of that, and if we're gonna transfer it, I would like to think they would need to be communicated that that's gonna be
Sure.
handled through them, it's on their property.
Right,
Sure.
and I would think that we could probably parcel that off to something we were going to keep. I was always under the impression that the city did own it and not the state, so we wanna make sure, and I think Matt's aware of that, we'll make sure, but that, we wanna keep that gazebo. That
Okay.
continues to remain on ours. I wouldn't think that Illinois American Water would have any use for it.
Yeah, I would think it's a non-issue, but at the same time, probably needs to be vetted at least, as
Sure.
what we wanna do with it.
Instead of worrying about it in December.
Well, after the fact's a problem too, so.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Okay. Let me know if you guys think of anything or anything else comes up.
While we're on water, as the target closing date, I kind of explained it to everybody, but maybe Kate, did I tell you the letter from Heartland Bank? I reached out to their wealth management group on some options that are available for when we do receive this check. I got a call from Mr. Wade yesterday. He gave me, I need to reach out to him as well. There's another couple people I'd like to reach out with to try to get this ball rolling as far as what we want to do with it when it gets here. There obviously will be, I talked to Heartland Bank about the escrow that's required as part of the contract. They would be willing to set that up as well. So just things to keep in the back of your mind in the next coming months about what we want to tell them we want to do. So that's just some information. I should have some information for some other people at the next meeting. Anything else for Public Works? Treasurer's report, the deposits show $97,392.81. The biggest portion of that is obviously the third payment of the property tax disbursement. The third payment of the TIF was $21,000, and the 1% share of the sales tax, 1% share of the sales tax municipally, that's at $12,185. The business district tax is at $76.03, and we are about a couple $100 away from pre-pandemic numbers as far as the sales tax is concerned. So that's very promising to see. I've kept an eye on it. It keeps going up, keeps going up.
Well, one of the factors is in the 2019 session of the legislature, they passed level the playing field. And what that means is when you're buying from an out-of-state vendor that has no nexus with Illinois, they're required to collect the sales tax for Mount Pulaski. So that's why that number is a little bit higher than it used to be going forward. So the emphasis for that is to try to level the playing field between the in-state people who are required to collect Illinois local taxes, whereas before, if you bought from out of state, it was a flat 6 1/4. Obviously, as the local taxes go up, we're talking about 3 to 5%, and therefore now, when you're buying from Amazon, or not necessarily Amazon, but any of the eBay sellers that do not have a location in Illinois, they'll be collecting the Mount Pulaski local rate. And believe me, this has caused a lot of headaches with retailers, because they basically have to figure out the sales tax rate for every customer in Illinois, which is a zillion rates, as you can imagine.
Right.
City of Mount Pulaski, we got 2 rates.
And
Business district, non-business district.
yes, and there's probably at least a dozen rates in Logan County, I would think.
Yes. Yes, unincorporated Logan County, City of Lincoln, list goes on.
That would be.
But it's all to our benefit as a
Absolutely.
city. So hopefully that number will go up as we recover from the pandemic too. So keep buying, I guess.
Yeah. The only other thing I had for finance was in reference to, the pandemic, the Illinois, or the ARPA funds that we applied for, that has since been approved. We are due to get a check, probably will be before the next meeting, for $99,850, I believe, for the first installment of that. Paula did a great job filling that stuff out and getting that turned in. So once we get the check in the bank, we'll start talking about some stuff that we can use it for. I know there's been a lot of information out there. If you guys need me to resend that, if it's been sent, I think Paula sent out one from the Illinois Municipal League. If you get those IML emails that's on there, there's about 10 things you can spend it upon. That money is obviously subject to audit for those stipulations. One of them was lost revenue. One of them was coronavirus-related expenses. I know that this city does not have very many of those. And another one, interestingly enough, and I might as well say this while we're on the World Wide Web, is we can start our own stimulus program for citizens of our town. We can pass the money out directly to the citizens for direct economic relief if we so choose. That is obviously all up for discussion when the check comes, but it's something to be thinking about. And if you guys need a link to that those ARPA funds and what they can and cannot be used on, let me know, or check your IML, Illinois Municipal League emails, so. I just got that email yesterday that we were approved and the check's on its way, so. Okay. Any questions on any of that stuff? Any old business that missed the agenda? We'd like to speak about the economic development ordinance at this time. It's kind of old business.
Dealer's choice.
Yeah, go ahead. You had a couple things that you wanted to say.
Sure, so, yeah, with business. So, I have a lot of updates on the Economic Advisory Board discussion that we have been having for a number of months now. So I was able to have a meeting with, two of the NL people, one of their kind of representatives that's been working with the city, and then their NL's attorney, about our concerns and, you know, interest in maybe revising the ordinance, our concerns with the auditor and things like that. And I will say that they were very receptive to our position. They understood, you know, the constraints of being a municipal government and having limitations imposed upon us by Illinois Municipal Code. But I think that they were hesitant to entertain any substantial revisions to our ordinance for fear that it might frustrate kind of how things operate. I get the impression that they desire to continue to give to the city and appreciate that relationship that they have with us. But it's ultimately a decision for you guys to make from a policy standpoint. You know, what we want to do. What I'm going to hand out here, and I apologize for not making this available to everybody earlier. Why don't you guys take it and pass it down? That's my letter to Jesse Puckett, who was the representative with NL, who was on the call. As I understand it, Jesse's the one that's been kind of communicating with the board about how to spend money and those sorts of things. Here's the attachment that I sent with that email to Jesse as well.
Jesse's with these two now?
Jesse is with NL, and I put this letter together at the request of the board to kind of outline at least my understanding of the city's legal and financial position on this issue in preparation for that meeting. And so I sent that to Matt. I think I should have probably CC'd all of the city council on it as well. But I think it outlines at least my position. I think there was a question at some point along the way, you know, what's the city attorney's position on all of this? I think that letter outlines my research, my conversations with the auditor, some IML attorneys, and kind of the city council's concerns, I guess, with how things are going. So, I get good vibes from NL, but obviously the ball's in our court, and you know, it's a municipal decision that we need to make how to move forward. One of the aldermen has proposed some revisions, Tim Emmerich. Did you ever put those in final form? I took one of your earlier emails and put it in form.
I emailed it to all the city council members and the mayor.
Okay, well, I don't know if these incorporate all of those changes, but I'll pass this around. This is a
It only incorporates one change.
Was it I removed paragraph A4 and A5.
That's all it was.
Okay, so that so far is one of the proposed ordinances to modify the current language.
Which one, Tim? What did you say? What'd you change?
So
Well, he's just taken the existing ordinance and removed those two sections.
Okay, that's what I got.
and I think that was what Tim's proposal was earlier on. So I prepared that as a final ordinance for consideration and vote at some point, if that's what the city council so chooses. I left it with Anel that I was going to put together some proposed language. And get that to them for their attorneys to review. And frankly, based on some recent discussions, and thinking about it a little bit more, I'm uncomfortable to do that. I think that the way that we move forward on this is really a policy decision for you guys. I think my letter to Jesse outlines my concerns, and I think the auditor concerns are in there as well. If city council members want to meet with me individually to craft some language that they feel is appropriate, in the same way that Tim has proposed some changes, I'm happy to do that. But I'm fearful for interjecting myself, maybe a little bit too much into this process, because it really is what you guys want to do here. I am comfortable keeping the ordinance as is and simply choosing to maybe enforce it differently. I keep coming back to the last paragraph, and again, I handed that out to you guys. It's highlighted in yellow, and that's what I brought to Jesse's attention. I'll read it aloud for the people in the audience. The Economic Advisory Board is strictly a commission of appointments made by the city and shall make recommendations to the city council for the approval or denial of the same by vote of the city council.
And that's how it reads right now.
That's correct, exactly. And so, you know, at some point along the way, I don't know that we necessarily strayed from this, but it seems like, you know, people are taking issue with how that's implemented. Or not being implemented, right? So, you know, when we last met as a city council, again, I don't come to every meeting, so I don't know, I kind of miss a meeting or a discussion in between. I don't know if this has come up before. I thought I had kind of a clear vision for what the city council wanted me to do on this. And at this point, I've had the discussion with Anel. I think I've made our position known, but as far as, you know, crafting any additional language or recommending one version of something over another, I think really it is up to you guys to tell me what you would like to do, and I am happy to move forward on whatever that is. And again, that's for fear of me interjecting myself maybe too much into the process, because really, I think I've, again, with the letter to Jesse, and, you know, I'm happy to elaborate on it, I think I've made my legal position known. I think the auditor has made their financial position known.
Does it now have a problem with the ordinance the way it is right now?
No, obviously not, because they're, you know, continuing to give us money. I think, as Danny points out, we're really not following that highlighted.
So if we follow that, do they have a problem with that?
I think they would. I don't know if push comes to shove, are they gonna say no more money? I don't know.
So they didn't agree to it, well, I guess there's not really much agreement, but I'm saying, they didn't see this when we made the agreement?
I don't know what they saw when they.
Absolutely, they did. This was before the agreement, and mainly 228 on the second page, and maybe it was worded wrong, but 228 on the second page, number 5, which is being up for, which Tim would like to propose to be omitted. To administer it, to accept and administer on behalf of the city upon designation of the city council, such gift grants and monies as may be appropriate for the purpose of this chapter, in accordance with the plan. So the city council voted unanimously to allow the Economic Development Board to sign the contract for those monies. We gave them permission to in my opinion, the city council gave them permission to administer those gifts. Now,
And I think that's a fair interpretation,
yes,
if that's the position
that was
that the
why it was
city wants to
written that
take.
way, and that's kind of what
Sure.
Enel wanted in there. So they were given the city council's permission to administer those gifts as they saw fit, as long as it was within our plan. Have they strayed from that? That's an entirely different discussion. Right now, we're focusing on what we want to do with the ordinance. So,
Well, there was no evidence in the minutes that the city council ever did that, is the problem.
I guarantee you there was, because I was sitting in the same seat you were. I can look back.
I
It would have
couldn't
been,
find it.
it would have been somewhere in, it was a motion made. We gave the contract, we gave a copy of the contract to every alderman. We sat here and discussed it, we said that they could enter that agreement. I will have to check the minutes. There must have been something that was missed, but I can promise you it happened. Now, I guess I can't because the minutes are the record forever, and you'll just have to take my word for it, but there's no reason for me to lie. So,
Well,
I do
verbal's not a
agree.
contract, as you know.
what's that?
Verbal's not a contract.
I understand, but if it's in the minutes, it should be, I mean, why else would it not be? I mean, we gave them permission to do it. I know, I was sitting in your seat. I'm okay with moving forward from omitting 4 and 5 and making it on a weekly, on a monthly, or on a bi-monthly basis, bringing those bills to us for approval. I think that would solve the
That's
most.
all I was suggesting
Okay.
in my proposal of 2 months ago, is that's the hoop that's being overlooked. At the end of the day, we're not even following our own ordinance for all intents and purposes.
Okay,
We're
I
treating
believe we
this
are,
money-
I believe we are, but we can agree to disagree. We gave them permission to administer those funds. I know we did.
And that's your position. That's fine.
Absolutely it
That's
is.
fine.
I'll take one too.
But at the end of the day, to me, the most defendable position for the city is to treat the money just like we do any other money.
Okay, but it's not. It's donation money.
No, it's city money.
But it's donated. It's not tax money that we're taking from people. It has less stringent, whatever. I don't want to get into an argument about it. I want this to pass so we can move on. Who forgot to put it on the agenda? This is your ballgame. You don't think we need to
I
put
was
this on the
hoping
agenda?
the
That's fine.
mayor sets the agenda. I was
No,
hoping
no,
the
no,
mayor
no,
would
no,
take some leadership here.
Some leadership. It is not my job to change the code. I told you that 3 months ago. You finally come up with this and a letter to the editor, and that's all you can come up with? This is not a city that does everything that I tell them to do. If the 6 of you cannot come up with what needs to be done, then this is all for naught. I do not change the code. The aldermen of the legislative branch,
And-
they change the code. It will always be like that. I'm not going to write up an ordinance for you that curtails you. You write it up.
I did.
I wrote up the original one.
I did.
Okay, well then let's get it done.
I'll make a motion for my ordinance to be.
Does everybody see the revisions?
It respects the actions, and then if they got a proposal, just as the ordinance says, the recommendation comes to the council. They do the same thing when they have business district funds. They come before the council. This just treats this money the same way.
How would this affect if they become a 501c or whatever, their own?
If they do that and Enel chooses to, they can break the contract and start giving it to the not-for-profit.
Yep. I think the fight then, or the question, is gonna be what happens to the current $416,000 that's sitting in 2 bank accounts, well, a CD and a bank account. And again, I'm perfectly comfortable deferring to the auditor on this, who has suggested to me in passing, again, we haven't asked her to issue a formal opinion on it. In passing, once it's city money, it's city money. Now, if the auditor needs time to think about that and determine whether or not she would be okay with the city passing that money along to the 501c3 because that was the original intent of the parties, I defer to the auditor, right? Because ultimately, she's the one that's got to sign off on what we do with our city finances. But what she's told me, that's our money. So I think in practice, if Tim's proposal is approved at the next meeting, the Economic Planning and Development Board continues to operate under the constraints of the revised ordinance, acting as a advisory committee for the rest of the $416,000, plus they also have some business district money, right?
That's always been ours.
Yeah,
100%.
But, right, but they continue to operate.
They continue to give
Right,
recommendations.
give recommendations on that, draw down on the 416,000 that's in there, and then what a 501c3 unrelated to the city does is frankly beyond our purview.
So is that definitely happening?
What?
Definitely gonna be becoming a 501c3?
I don't know that, no, I don't know
Okay,
that.
so currently, if we change this ordinance the way that Tim is suggesting, will Enel take issue with that? Or do you
Probably.
think they will?
Probably.
Probably,
Will they more than likely quit the donation?
I don't have,
You can't
I
say.
don't have a,
But-
don't have a crystal ball on that.
That will,
They might not.
They
They
might not,
explained to
correct.
me that they really appreciate our relationship, and they find a lot of value in that. They did admit to me that City of Mount Pulaski is their only municipality in the state of Illinois that they're aware of that has any kind of arrangement like this.
So it wasn't
Just
cut and dry
directly
from the
to a
beginning with.
501,
Say again?
the rest of them in Illinois, just go directly to the 501c3?
Or directly to the city council themselves. There's not a separate entity not a separate committee that was designed to independently of the city council administer these
So
funds.
what you're saying is either be the city council does what we want,
Yes,
or they have a separate thing.
yeah, separate entity, and again, that's beyond municipal law,
Yeah.
you know?
So it wasn't cut and dry. You were unclear about what needed to be done. The auditor was very unclear about what needed to be done. So the fact that just saying it's city money and this what has to happen with it, I think is a little bit irrelevant at this point. It's treated money because it's donation money. The auditor had questions. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, you guys are doing it wrong. She wanted to look into it.
Yeah.
All right,
And-
it
and
was
the
not
auditor-
ever cut and dry that we were doing it wrong.
No, the auditor never put it in their audit as an official comment, again, because I think that there's a lot of gray area here.
We're getting ready to fix
Well,
that.
exactly, because in my mind, it's a clear violation of material witness that these city funds were expended without city.
Well, then why wasn't it a clear opinion of your attorney or the auditors? Only you?
I guess only me.
Okay,
And
and
that's
that's fair.
what I intend
And
to
that's
take
fair.
up with the auditor this time, to hear their explanation why this is not a material weakness in the expenditure of city money.
Did they have an answer for you the first
I
time?
haven't had a chance to contact.
Okay, I'd love to hear it. Put this on the agenda for the next meeting, please. Ordinance change, it was not on this one, therefore there cannot be taken action. Does everybody have the revisions? No, go ahead, keep going, I'm sorry.
So you think that Enel would have a problem if they have to come to us to approve the bills every time? I mean, how does they even know that?
Say again?
How does Enel even know that?
They'll know.
They know, they're operating under the current perception that they give money to the board, in the city's name, they give it to the board, thinking that the board has, blanket authority on how to spend it.
The economic board?
Correct.
Okay.
And I think that they're operating under that assumption based on kind of how this relationship has developed over the years and kind of like the mayor suggests, you know, there's kind of an implied consent argument to be had here. Things have been happening this way since the beginning. You know, what's different now, right?
Why would NL care if they're giving other cities money with no board, but this one they're making, hold the brakes, we gotta have this board involved? I'm kind of
Fair
confused
question.
with that,
Fair question.
you know, why they would, you know, be so hot to trot that or insistent that this board be involved.
Because they gave us a bunch more than the other ones. A bunch more. I believe Elkhart's $25,000 a year, Broadwell's $25,000 a year. They've given us over $500,000. That can be that's my only guess of why.
But at the end of the day, NL can quit tomorrow for no reason given.
I don't know, I've read that, I don't know if they can breach that contract that quick.
It's a
We're not
donation
in breach.
agreement.
They don't find we're in breach, so.
Exactly, it's not a binding contract. You know,
Why is it not binding?
well, nobody can find a signed copy of it, number one.
I don't know that the donation agreement is binding. I do think that there's a potential that the wind farm, NL says, look, we got into this agreement thinking that the board, the Economic Planning and Development Board would have independent spending authority and, right, wrong, or indifferent, we disagree with how things are being operated now. I think after speaking with NL, their primary concern is they don't want this money going towards, salaries, bonuses, things like that. It's truly for economic development, and I think that there are ways that we can be more specific, maybe. I mean, I don't know. The ordinance says this is gonna be, the purpose is gonna be respecting, economic development in the city, making recommendations in matters relating to improvement of sound economic growth, examining opportunities for fostering an attractive climate for businesses. I mean,
Well, I believe the best way to figure that, to accomplish that, is to leave them in the advisory role that they are. And that if any of the donation money needs to be spent, then it goes through that board first. That way they can get their eyes on it first and say, well, I don't think it should be used to pay off debt, or oh, I don't think it should be used for salaries. That step will
That's
help
all
them
I
make a
got in there, is
recommendation.
that they come up with the recommendations for that money.
Yes. We leave them in that. We don't try spinning it by ourselves without them letting them know, or letting them take a look at what we want to do.
No, that to me,
We can make
that's,
suggestions of them as well.
we can make just a simple resolution to that effect, that they can propose for the use of that money, and we agree not to use it for general municipal expenditures.
Is there anything where we can give them kind of like a cap, like an agreement, like, just like when Tony doesn't go out and buy a new car?
With the way that it's written now, they would have to, with the way that the revisions are now, every single bill would have to go for us.
I don't want to have to worry about.
But they don't have that many bills, Darren. That's why the system works. It's just like the TIF fund, the business district fund. There just isn't that many, so it's not as burdensome as one might think.
And we don't have a record of that now.
Well, it doesn't even come across our desk. That's the problem.
There's a record of it, it just, like he said, it doesn't come across our desk. It's in the audit.
In my mind, I feel like there's more oversight because we have the board. It's another, 7 people that a decision is going through.
Yep, I agree.
Yes, all they're doing is,
The aldermen are the ones that change the code.
the code, all I did was remove the spending of money. They can do whatever they want, but once they come up with a project, after they've done all their due diligence and developed a well-organized proposal, they come here, just like they do with the business district funds. Then that way, when the auditor said who approved these expenditures, it's right in there, just like we handle with TIF, business district funds, and GRF. Or even motor fuel tax, for that matter.
Is there anything keeping us from asking the board to provide us with minutes, without us having to go find them on a monthly basis?
I wouldn't see a problem with
I
that.
mean, just
no.
that way, at least it covers them, they can say, we've given you guys our minutes from every meeting.
That would probably, if we move to this step, that would probably be a
Yeah.
necessity.
To me, they should file their minutes and all those legality things and agendas with Anna.
It's in the code that they should.
Is that
It's in
happening?
the original. I thought it was with Kelly, but I could be
All I'm
wrong.
suggesting, it's gonna be in a central location.
Right.
If somebody files a FOIA, that we can defer it to Anna, she'll have it right in her file cabinet
Right.
and answer the FOIA.
Yep.
Right now, it's like, who the hell has it?
We have
Yeah.
5 days to respond. It's hard enough to find out it's on us. No.
But, to me, that's just makes us look a little bit more organized and whatnot. So, because, like everybody knows, this board is acting on our behalf, on this body's behalf.
And I think they're doing a great job. I'll give them that.
That's the thing, I don't think, we're all going to the same goal, so we don't want to make it look like we don't trust them. I mean,
I think that's out the window by now.
well, I don't,
Yeah.
so,
That's why I don't see why there's a problem. I think even Mayor Matt has indicated that we have never really questioned any of their proposals for business district tax expenditures. So why would there be a problem necessarily with the donation money? That just kind of baffles me. Because, you know, this is just another step in having oversight over things. You know, they can meet all the time, but when they want to have an expenditure, they need to present it to us, and we'll vote on it accordingly, and it will go out. You know, right now, currently, if you think about it, you know, those funds should be under the exclusive custody of the treasurer, just like any other city fund. And that, to me, is another material weakness. So, and then it kind of goes into the liability issue that I raised. So, you know, to me, this is a simple fix to a major problem. And it's respectful of their.
Now, the auditor didn't find it as a major problem, and neither did our attorney. You find it as a major problem. Let's make sure.
I think he made it pretty clear in his statement that it's a major problem.
I think that he was very nice in saying, we're missing a step, I think. Nothing is cut and dry. Then why, if that's the case, then how come the auditors allowed it without giving the statement that you're requesting? Can you answer me that? How come they've allowed us to do it the way it is, but they have not put a statement in there? Is it because they don't find it materially weak? Or is it because it hasn't been requested by us to say that?
Well, it boils down to, what do you think an auditor is supposed to do? An auditor is supposed to look at how the financial statements, the fairness of the financial statements, and if we covered all of our bases.
And our audit has been spot-on report ever since I became the mayor.
The people I've talked to said, you know, that's a major problem that should have.
Who's they? I never heard Valerie say that, because I've had several conversations with Valerie that said, it's very hard to articulate what's going on because this is a unique situation that is not cut and dry.
I've spoken to CPA firms in Decatur.
What's their names?
I've spoken to Kevin Buckley in Decatur, Illinois, and he explained that, yes, that would be a serious finding.
In his opinion?
In his opinion.
Is he under hire the city?
No, but
Okay.
he does municipal audits.
Okay? Although
In
our auditor
professional
doesn't find a problem
opinion.
with it. What? I want everyone to know my opinion that it is not cut and dry. I'm ready to change the ordinance if the aldermen agree. I have nothing to do with that, as I've stated over and over and over and over again. I told you that I would sign it. You give this to me, and it passes 4 out of 6, I'll sign it. Not a problem.
So are you recommending that?
I recommend that the aldermen do what they feel is best, since they are the
So
legislative
you don't
branch
have
of
a
the city.
position on it?
What's it matter if I do? I
Because
told
you're
you I'd
the
sign it.
mayor
I
and
told you
you're
I'd
the
sign it.
leader.
I told you
of
I'd
the
sign
city.
it. I told you I'd sign it. I'm pretty sure that'll give you my opinion, which means I agree with it.
Fair enough, and then your position is agree with it, so.
If we change this, will we have an economic board left?
Probably not. Someone already quit in the meantime, so now there's 3 seats open. I got 1 to fill the night if it's approved.
I think we just need to make sure that, we need to smooth some things out, I guess, because we're all on the same page, trying to grow the town. And I don't want to hamstring them if we haven't been, and if that's not a problem.
That's a lot of money to lose too.
That's a lot of money for them to be responsible for. And if they do something illegal, the auditors are legally responsible because they signed off on saying that our methods are okay and procedures.
But they're okay with the way it is right now?
They haven't given us our report yet.
When does that come?
Usually October. But they did it earlier this year, so I'm surprised it's not out yet. They were done in July, but it takes them several months normally.
What are the main things that are concerning you, Tim?
There's no oversight. That
I
we need to
understand
approve
that,
every
but I'm
bill.
saying, are you seeing discrepancies, or are you seeing something fishy? What is making you think
Well,
that?
I've requested that a full accounting of the $184,000 spent be provided to the city council,
Mhm.
and it hasn't been done. So I am leaving judgment on that until we have that explanation. But if they had the bills come through this body, we will know what the expenditures are, and if there's any questions on them, the council members can ask.
How are they keeping track of the monies they spent?
There's a treasury report that comes out every month, and it's under our fee number, under our bank account. I mean, anyone can request the bank statements from the bank if they would like.
If I recall in your letter, you said there were a couple transactions that you were questioning that had very vague descriptions,
Mhm.
correct? That were just labeled, a couple of them were labeled transfers, and what else?
It was like some Amazon and.
Amazon, you got construction contractor,
So,
all those type things, because normally the expenses are categorized into different expense accounts. What Abbott does with that one, they just dump it into economic development expense. So now we have an account that for the last fiscal year, they spent $184,000. I would just kind of like to know what all that stuff was. What's the justification? I'm sure a lot of it's gonna be legitimate, but the problem is, nobody in this body really knows.
But when they fill out this paperwork, they have to explain what they're doing with that money, and plus they filed a W-9.
Yes, when they present a bill here, or a program here, we'll know what that expenditure is.
So you're saying we haven't seen that?
No,
Is
it's
that what
not
you're
in
saying?
our monthly list or every meeting, our accounts payable listing. That's why Abbott doesn't know how to categorize it, because there's no detail. All they see is a canceled check. When Paula does the bills, she categorizes them by the account. None of that's being done.
But isn't it all kind of under one economic board spending? Or does it have to be?
Well, I would like to know where all that money went to. There's a zillion vendors there. Just like to know what's the justification that they spent the money on. One easy fix is for those bills to go through this body just like everything else. To me, that's a defendable position.
do you feel any of those transactions were not necessary to their operation or to the development?
I hold judgment on it because I don't have the justification for it.
But there is suspicion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or if we have a better accounting system. I just don't want a hamstring when we have no board left, and then it's all
That's what
for
I'm
naught.
saying. If we're gonna nitpick every time they spend
nobody's
$25 on
nitpicking.
something, I understand that.
This is-
We went from
$184,000.
not.
the exact definition of
And now
nitpicking.
we have to have them, bring every bill to us first. I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm saying that's not the way they've been doing things, and it seemed to have been okay.
Because nobody's questioned it to this extreme. And when we got serious money involved, I think it needs to be reviewed.
But if we had a better record-keeping system of what they spent,
It's not about that, it's about the oversight. Having control steps involved to say if there's something that there's a gray area, we need more information that's there. You're saying, well, give them a better accounting system, the money's long gone, and then you're saying, well, I got a question about this. Well, that's after the fact. So,
I do know that Enel does not have a single question about how that money's being spent. They've looked at all the expenditures, so they're happy with all of it. They're happy with the job they're doing, how they've spent the money, and
what did they
they've
look
spent
at?
the
What did
money
they
on.
now look at?
I just would assume, I don't know, they probably want to see, maybe they asked them for these statements. We can ask them for these statements too. There's no document that is above the city council. It's actually in the code. You want something, go out and find it. It has to be provided to you by law. So. Not to say that there shouldn't be oversight, but the people who are giving the money to the city are very happy with what's happening with it.
I will mirror that comment that was stated several times on my call with Al, that they are pleased with the work that the city is doing in that regard.
my final comment is that this has nothing to do with Enel.
But they're the ones giving the money. It has everything to do with the now. They're the source of the money. How can they have nothing to do with it? Sorry to interrupt. Continue, I'm sorry.
The crux of the matter is how the city is gonna administer effectively its own money. And if this body has no problem with it, and they do what they wanna do, that's fine with me. I've raised my points and my concerns. But at the end of the day, it is city money, contrary to what Matt says. If it wasn't city money, you know, not a black one, it's not a gray issue. But at the end of the day, there's certain, you know, consequences of operating that way. And I've raised them in my piece. And if this body doesn't care about it, that's fine. But there are a lot of risks from different angles that I've raised. You know, the liability risk for their actions, not having control of our own money, those type things. So, but the reason I bring it up is that in my mind, there's enough concerns or risks out there, especially with the dollar amounts involved, that we need to look at this. And that at the end of the day, we're not even following our own ordinance.
Yes, we are. Don't say that again, or I'm gonna get upset. I'll give you the
I'll say it
minutes. I'll
again.
find the minutes. I'll find the minutes and I'll give them to you. We're following
That's
our own
fine.
funds. We gave them permission to administer.
How
that
much money?
The 200, the agreement was $250,000 and 115 each year, 110 each year.
So,
We gave the Economic Development Board permission to enter that agreement with you now.
then technically, it should have been in an account under somebody's fee number then.
You mean like the cities?
It should not be under the cities, because you're saying we gave it to them to administer.
We did. Here's the money, you guys spent it on economic development. That's what they've done.
Well,
We gave them permission
if
to
that was
administer
the
the
case,
funds
we
as they saw
wouldn't be
fit,
talking about it.
as they saw fit in accordance with our development and redevelopment plan.
This happened in 17, we started getting this. Has the auditor brought this up before?
Never.
So it was never brought up until Tim,
Yep.
She brought it up verbally.
which was not a binding contract.
That's right.
Okay, when did she bring this up? That's before me.
She said it at a meeting one time. She had just a couple questions about it, but it never went past that. I can't even remember exactly what she said, to be honest with you. But she did. Tim's correct.
I've had discussions with Valerie about this on several occasions, and I think she knows that this is something that we're looking into, and I suggested to her that if she has more questions about it, or maybe coming to a city council meeting, again, you can't get an auditor on the phone right now for weeks. I mean, these people are worked out of their mind right now. It's the same as trying to get a farmer out of the fields. It's just not gonna happen. So, you know, I think if Valerie's gonna come and present our audit, that's the time to not ambush her with these kind of questions, but that's when you're gonna get the FaceTime, you know, to address it with her, and,
So whatever the council decides. I mean, we have a revised revision in front of us of what to do that would cover all bases, in Alderman Emmerich's opinion. If the council decides to go that route, then that's what we'll do. Whatever you guys decide, I'll tell the board that this will be the new policy.
and again, if anybody else wants to reach out to me to help draft something that they think is appropriate, let me know. Otherwise, unless I hear otherwise from the city council or the mayor, I will not be drafting any additional language.
Okay. We good to move on this? We got that on the agenda for the next meeting? Proposed ordinance change? Okay. Apologize if I raised my voice. I do. I should have been more professional. Tax levy. Did everybody get a copy of that from Senator Sally? This is due at the end of December for your review. I can answer as many questions as you might have. If I don't, if I can't answer them, I can definitely ask Sally about them, but she's been doing this a long time, and when you talk to her about it, she's pretty tied up with a lot of things right now, but she used to come to the meeting and explain how the levy worked and why it was given this way. I don't know why our assessed value went down, but we still got about, what'd she say? 2,658 extra, additional funds to be placed in the general fund, sorry. And the taxes went up slightly, in case anyone else is wondering. So, read over. I know you just got eyes on this tonight. I'm sure it's not fair to ask for questions right on the whim, but obviously it's due in December, and that's something else on our plate that we need to get taken care of. So, let me know. Give me anything, or I believe Sally would probably be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. If you want to reach out to her directly, she's pretty responsive. Okay, I would also, Hillary Cherry has recently resigned, so now there are 3 seats open on the Economic Board. I talked to a gentleman this weekend that said he was willing to do it, and that is Corey Leonard. I think he would do a great job. I thought of Lisa. I know Corey's does a lot of stuff, but he said he'd be interested in filling the void. He's got some ideas for economic development in this town, and what better way to try to see those through with being a member of the board yourself. So, any discussion on that, feel free, and if not, if you guys want, I'll entertain a motion to approve my appointment of Corey Leonard to the Economic Development Board.
I'll motion.
I'll say.
Motion Kate Davis, second Smock. Roll call, please.
Dan Smock,
Yes.
Brad Davis,
Yes.
Kate Davis,
Yes.
Tim Emmer,
Present.
Randy Hagenbach,
Yes.
Darren Phillips.
Yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations, Corey. If you see him, make sure to tell him congratulations. I think he'll do some great things. Okay, is there any other business? I believe that I have covered all of them. I had some things written down, but I think it all got covered within the mix of everything else, so. Other business to discuss by the alderman? Any public comments on the non-agenda items? Public comments? Any need for executive session? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Motion Phillips,
I'll second.
second Brad Davis. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Jordan.
No help.